I should have deleted the video. I really should have. But instead, I watched it 17 times. 17. I counted. It was a clip from her reunion. Someone posted it on Instagram and tagged her without realizing I'd still be following. Or maybe they did know. Maybe that was the point. Anyway, there she was, Opal, standing under fairy lights on the college lawn like it was some Netflix original about people who peaked at 22. Laughing too loud. Drinking something in a crystal glass like she was royalty. And beside her, him. Dalton. Yeah, Dalton. That name makes me physically ill now. He put his hand on her back, and she didn't move it. Not even a flinch. Just leaned into it like it belonged there. Like I never existed. This was 3 months after she told me I didn't deserve her. 3 months after she said, and I quote, "I need someone who wakes up hungry for more, not someone who wakes up just to survive." 3 months after I packed her favorite mug in bubble wrap, just so it wouldn't break in her new place. She left with words like grateful and mature and no villains here. I believed her. I was stupid. I thought I was being noble by not fighting. By saying, if that's what you need, then okay. I even helped carry her bookshelf down the stairs. Like some kind of walking joke. But that reunion, something about it felt wrong from the start. Her messages before she went were all short. Flat. Not like her. No selfies. No location tags. That wasn't her style. She loved attention. She lived for it. I knew she was hiding something. But I didn't expect what came next. Because less than 48 hours after that video went up, Opal showed up at my apartment door. No warning. No text. Makeup smudged. Eyes red. Phone buzzing in her hand like a live grenade. And the first thing she said? "Glenn, I messed up. I messed up so bad." I didn't say a word. I just stepped aside and let her in. Like a fool. But what she told me after that, it made everything worse. Much, much worse. She stood there in the doorway, shaking like she'd seen a ghost. But I knew better. Ghosts don't wear $300 shoes and call you by your first name like you're an employee they're trying to fire gently. I hadn't seen Opal in weeks. Not since she told me she needed to break free from mediocrity, which, in case you're wondering, was her poetic way of calling me boring to my face. But that night, she was different. Her eyes were wide, panicked, her hair pulled up like she hadn't even looked in a mirror. She clutched her phone with both hands like it was all that kept her upright. And when she walked inside, without me actually saying she could, she started pacing like someone being hunted. "Can I sit down?" she asked, already halfway to the couch. I nodded. Dumb move. I should have stopped this right there. Should have told her I wasn't a storage unit for her feelings. But no. I sat in the armchair across from her like we were about to discuss refinancing a mortgage. "I slept with him," she said. No warm-up. "No, you might want to brace yourself." Just that. And then silence, like she expected the walls to crumble and bury me alive. I didn't speak. I didn't blink. My body just detached. Like my brain was watching from across the room. I stared at the fraying edge of the rug and thought, absurdly, I should have vacuumed if she was going to show up to destroy me. "Dalton," she added, as if I didn't already know. "The guy from college. The one who used to call her Sunshine in public and Plan B in private, back when they were a thing. I had no idea he was even at the reunion, let alone. God, it was a mistake," she said next. "I thought I was proving something to myself. That I could still be who I was before." Before me, she meant. I was the slow-down guy. The let's-cook-dinner-at-home guy. The don't-get blackout drunk at rooftop bars guy. But then, her voice cracked. She finally looked at me, and I hated how part of me still wanted to comfort her. Something happened. I thought she was about to say she got pregnant, or that he ghosted her. But it was worse. Because what she said next cracked open a pit in my stomach that's still there. "He recorded us." I stared at her. "What? Dalton?" "I didn't know." He set up his phone. I thought it was charging. He sent it to people. "Glenn, I think it's out there. I don't know how many people saw it." My first thought wasn't even about her. It was about me. About how I'd be the guy everyone pitted. The guy whose wife ditched him for a college flame. And now the whole reunion crowd, her old friends, her exes, people I've never even met, might have seen her with another man. Seen her smile. Seen her enjoy it. She buried her face in her hands and sobbed, the way she used to when we lost her grandmother. But this time, I didn't reach for her. I couldn't. Something had shifted. Something permanent. Because now, I wasn't just the guy she left. I was the guy she came crawling back to, not out of love, but out of fear. And I didn't know what was worse, losing her the first time, or realizing she only returned when everything else exploded. And that wasn't even the end of it. Because the next morning, I got a message. Not from her. Not from Dalton. From someone who was at that reunion. Someone who saw more than just the video. And what they told me, it turned this whole thing inside out. The message came through Facebook Messenger at 7:42 in the morning. I hadn't even brushed my teeth yet. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, still in yesterday's shirt, staring at the floor while Opal slept in my apartment. The same apartment she once said smelled like a single man's fear of growth. And there she was now, curled up under my comforter like nothing had happened. The message was from a woman named Rayanne. I didn't recognize her name, but we had 3 mutuals. The reunion. Of course. Her message was short. I saw what happened at the reunion. You don't know the whole story. Can we talk? I hesitated. I mean, I didn't know this woman. She could have been trying to stir drama, or maybe she had some vendetta against Opal from college days. But something about her tone felt urgent. Not gossipy, scared. So I replied. 20 minutes later, we were on a video call. She had short black hair, a faded hoodie, and a voice like she'd smoked through most of her 20s. She didn't waste time. I didn't know Opal personally, Rayanne said, but I roomed with her friend, Kelsey, back in junior year. I was at the reunion with my wife. We weren't even planning on staying late. But I saw your ex. She's not my ex. I interrupted without thinking. Not officially. Okay, Rayanne said gently. Well, I saw Opal with Dalton. I don't know what she told you, but I thought you should know that video. It wasn't the worst part. I didn't breathe. She wasn't drunk, Rayanne said slowly. She wasn't manipulated. I heard her. She invited him up to her room. She said she wanted to remind him what he lost. She said she was done dating men with small dreams and predictable lives. I don't remember much after that. Just this pressure in my chest, like someone had taken a rolling pin to my lungs. Rayanne kept talking, but her words were underwater. I nodded through the call, thanked her, and closed my laptop. Opal was still sleeping when I walked into the bedroom. I just stared at her for a long time. This woman, this person I built my life around, had stood in a crowded room full of people and dragged my entire existence through the dirt just to stroke the ego of a man who once cheated on her with a junior varsity cheerleader. And now, she was here, in my bed, crying the night before like she was the victim, telling me she didn't know, that it just happened. But it didn't just happen. She planned it. She wanted it. And worst of all, she wanted him to know I'd see it. I knew I had to get out. I knew I couldn't just pretend she was a wounded little bird anymore. But I didn't scream. I didn't throw her stuff out the window or set her clothes on fire. No, I decided on something worse. Something slower. Because if Opal thought I didn't deserve her, then I'd show her exactly what happens when the predictable man gets quiet and starts planning. The funny thing is, she still didn't know I knew. That morning, Opal made coffee in my kitchen like nothing had happened, humming softly, like she used to back when she'd surprise me with cinnamon pancakes on Sundays. I just watched her from the hallway, silent, hidden by the edge of the doorway, memorizing the shape of her back, the way she still clicked her nails on the countertop when waiting for the kettle to boil. It should have hurt. It should have cracked me wide open again. But something had shifted inside me. Some dull switch finally flipped. And in that strange calm, I realized she wasn't a mystery. She was a performance. I didn't confront her. Instead, I asked her how she slept. I asked her if she wanted oat milk in her coffee. I asked if she needed a charger, or if her phone was too fried from drama. I watched her flinch at that last part, just a flicker in her eyes. She didn't know if I meant the video, the fallout, or something else. And I liked that she didn't know. It gave me time. That entire day, I played the version of me she expected. Predictable Glenn. Forgiving Glenn. The guy she could return to, sob into, recycle like a safety net. I let her believe I was still processing, still too soft to push back. But inside, I was drafting a list. Not a revenge list, not exactly. More like a reckoning. I started with her phone. While she was in the shower, I checked her notifications. Not texts, I didn't need those. Just timestamps. Call logs. Names. Dalton, 3 missed. Voicemail from, unknown. I took a screenshot and sent it to my own email. Then deleted the evidence. After that, I cleaned the kitchen. Casually. Deliberately. I opened drawers I hadn't touched in weeks. I pulled out the tax folders. Mortgage statements. The old joint bank account she forgot I still had access to. She thought I was folding napkins. I was folding leverage. She asked if she could stay a few more days, just until she figured things out. I nodded like a man still in love. She hugged me with that practiced, wounded grip she used whenever she needed me to feel sorry for her. And I did, but not for the reason she thought. I pitied the version of herself she was still trying to sell me. I pitied the woman who thought betrayal was just a bump in the narrative, something she could weep through and be forgiven. She didn't know the story had already split, and she was in the wrong chapter. That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed up mapping things out in my mind, every detail, every loose end. Her name was still attached to certain documents. Her alumni group posted all their updates publicly. Her job? The one she bragged about? Let's just say I'd found a few inconsistencies in what she told them versus what was real. I wasn't out to destroy her. Not yet. I just wanted her to feel it. That sharp, creeping awareness that something was unraveling behind her back. The same way I felt the moment she said, "You don't deserve me." And I swear to God, by the end of this, she was going to wish she'd never said those words out loud. The first real crack showed when I mentioned her old college friend, the one who filmed the reunion clips. I brought him up casually, while we were watching some hollow sitcom rerun on the couch. She was curled up next to me, pretending everything was fine, laughing too hard at the canned jokes. But when I said, "Did Jasper ever send you that video from the reunion?" I heard he got some great footage. Her smile faltered for half a second. It was quick, barely noticeable, but I saw it. She didn't laugh at the next joke. Instead, she reached for her phone and changed the subject, asking if I still had that old board game we used to play on rainy nights. It was like watching a magician shuffle cards mid-trick because the audience noticed something off. I gave her what she wanted, a shrug, a distracted glance, the illusion of distance. But behind my eyes, everything was sharpening. That night, after she went to bed, I logged into my old Dropbox. We had used it years ago to share travel photos. I remembered the password because she made it the same as her favorite poem. Ironically, one about betrayal. What I found wasn't just pictures. There were old PDFs, notes from therapy sessions we'd stopped going to, screenshots of emails she never meant for me to see, including one from 6 months ago, from Dalton, thanking her for finally admitting she'd made the wrong choice all those years ago. So she'd been laying the groundwork long before the reunion. She hadn't just slipped. She'd been preparing to fall. That's when my planning shifted. This wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. This was about exposure. Not revenge porn. Not threats. Nothing illegal or dramatic. No, I was going to let her words bury her. Her emails, her voice notes, her texts, all lined up in a quiet folder I labeled closure. I'd done nothing to them. No edits. No tricks. Just her being her. And then I started making calls. One to my lawyer, just to clarify how separation of property worked, even if no official divorce was filed. One to our old landlord, the one who still had her new address on record from the forwarded mail request. And one, finally, to the Alumni Association. See, Opal had told them she was a strategic consultant for a startup. That wasn't a lie, technically, but it was the kind of padded truth that people build entire careers on. And the thing about alumni boards is they love image, reputation, optics. I emailed them a set of screenshots. Again, nothing fake, nothing exaggerated, just real things she wrote and said. About the reunion, about the people there, about how fake she thought most of them were. I didn't attach my name. I used a burner email. I didn't need credit. I just needed the whispers to start. Because Opal thrived in spaces where people adored her. She needed validation like oxygen. And all I had to do was make sure that oxygen quietly disappeared. The next morning, I noticed her scrolling her phone with a look I hadn't seen since the early days of the pandemic. That tight, alert stare like the world was starting to cave in, but she didn't know why yet. She asked if I noticed anything weird on Instagram. I said no. She said Jasper wasn't responding to her DMs. I said maybe he was busy. She started biting her nails again. She hadn't done that in years. I went into the kitchen, made us both tea, and smiled to myself as I stirred in the sugar. Not because I was happy. I wasn't. I was hollowed out. But because something in the air had shifted. She couldn't name it yet, but she could feel it. And soon, she'd learn exactly how predictable men burn things down. Quietly, thoroughly, and without ever raising their voice. It happened during lunch. That's when the facade finally slipped. We were sitting on the balcony, eating leftover pasta, pretending to be people we no longer were. She was scrolling silently, chewing without tasting, her phone held just low enough for me to catch the flicker of panic in her eyes. She kept refreshing something, probably her alumni group chat or Instagram DMs, but the look on her face told me exactly what I needed to know. She was being shut out. That golden network she relied on for likes, invitations, brand deals, and professional praise, it was icing her. Quietly, without confrontation. Just delayed replies, seen but not answered messages, and a few subtle unfollows. I didn't have to see her screen to know. I knew her too well. The moment she asked, "Did I do something wrong?" It wasn't to me. She whispered it to herself, like a line in a play she didn't realize had been canceled. I asked if everything was okay. She said she was just disconnected lately. Then she smiled, and that smile broke something in me. Not because it was fake, but because it had always been fake, and I was only now seeing it for what it was. A trained reflex. A mask she wore so naturally, even she forgot it was there. That afternoon, I went back to my laptop and began the final phase. The thing is, I never wanted to ruin Opal. I didn't want to destroy her life. I just wanted her to experience silence. The kind of silence she gifted me when she walked out of our marriage like it was a pair of shoes she'd outgrown. So I wrote a letter, not angry, not bitter, just clear. I told her I knew everything. Not just about Dalton. Not just the video. I knew about the emails, the timeline, the way she had rebranded our entire relationship as a creative detour in conversations with her friends. I even quoted her own words back to her, the ones she thought were buried in chats and voice notes and half-deleted drafts. I printed the letter, left it on her side of the bed, next to her folded sweater and charger. Then I packed. Quietly. I didn't take much. Just my laptop, a few clothes, the documents I'd need, and my keys. I even left the apartment keys on the counter. I wanted her to know I didn't need to lock the door behind me. She was already trapped in a place I'd long escaped. But before I left, I scheduled something. A post. One post. Just a photograph. Us, from 5 years ago, before everything fell apart. Smiling in front of a lighthouse on Lake Superior. I captioned it simply. Funny how one of us meant it. No names. No drama. Just enough to make people wonder. Enough to make her phone buzz with questions. By the time she woke up from her nap, I was gone. And when she read that letter, I know exactly what part would hit her hardest. Not the details. Not the exposure. It would be the line at the end. The one that took me 3 rewrites to get right. You said I didn't deserve you. You were right. I deserved honesty. You gave me theater. I thought leaving would be the peak of it. That she'd wake up, read the letter, and crumble. Maybe cry. Maybe rage. Maybe even try to spin some new narrative for herself where I was the villain. I expected her to come knocking within hours. But she didn't. Not that day. Not the next. And not the one after that. At first, I thought she was pulling a reverse move, staying silent to reclaim control. But then I saw the photo. It showed up in a group thread I'd muted months ago. A snapshot someone posted from the same reunion, only it hadn't gone public yet. I recognized her immediately. My wife, in a tight green dress she never wore for me, standing on a balcony with Dalton. His hand was around her waist. But what got me wasn't the way he touched her. It was the look she gave him. Confident. Hungry. Like she'd finally found the audience she thought she deserved. The caption just said, "Wild night. Wild stories. Some things never change." That's when it hit me. She wasn't panicking because of the shame. She was panicking because the control was gone. The people she once played like pieces on a chessboard weren't interested in her sob story anymore. They weren't asking, "Are you okay?" They were asking each other, "Did you know she did that?" They were gossiping behind her back, and not in a way she could recover from. The illusion was cracking. A week after I left, I got a text from her at 2:16 a.m. Just one word. Please. That was it. No punctuation. No explanation. Like a signal flare sent up from a sinking ship that no longer had power to ask for rescue properly. I didn't respond. I didn't even open it. I just sat there in the dark, staring at the screen, letting that one word echo in my head until the sun came up. I expected her to escalate, to come to my new place, to email me, to spin some fantasy about redemption. But instead, she did something that actually shocked me. She went dark. Completely. She disappeared from Instagram, deleted her Twitter, turned off comments on her blog. Even her LinkedIn vanished. That might not sound like much, But for Opal, that was like removing her oxygen mask mid-flight. Her brand, her image, was her. I waited. I waited 3 more days, wondering if this was some tactic, some calculated vanishing act to lure me out. But then I got another message. This one wasn't from her. It was from a woman named Dana. A quiet girl I remembered from our wedding. One of her art school friends. Barely spoke a word. She DM'd me something simple. She's not okay. I think someone should know. Attached was a voice note. It was Opal, but it wasn't her. Her voice was hoarse. Broken. She was crying. But not performatively. Not the pretty crying she used to do when she wanted to win sympathy. This was different. Rambling, scattered. Apologizing to no one in particular. Muttering things about how she ruined everything. How people always leave when they see who I am. It didn't give me satisfaction. Not even a little. If anything, it made me nauseous. Because I realized something I hadn't admitted to myself this entire time. I wasn't angry she cheated. I was angry because I still wanted her to be better. And now? I didn't even believe she could be. I didn't answer Dana's message. Not because I didn't care. I did. Maybe too much. But I had learned something in the silence. Just because someone falls apart doesn't mean you're the one who has to put the pieces back together. Opal's unraveling wasn't mine to fix anymore. Instead, I focused on my own life. A life I'd neglected for years because I was too busy orbiting hers. I moved into a smaller place, closer to the lake. Nothing fancy, just quiet. Peaceful. I started cooking again. Real cooking, not just heating up frozen meals out of numbness. I even started walking in the mornings, just to feel something fresh. To breathe air that wasn't filtered through anxiety and second-guessing. A month later, I finally opened her last message. Please. That one word. I didn't reply. I just deleted it. Not out of spite, but because I no longer needed to hold on to it. I had carried her pain, her doubt, her chaos for so long. I'd forgotten what it felt like to walk unburdened. And then something unexpected happened. I ran into someone, not in a dramatic, movie scene kind of way. Just normal. Her name was Meredith. She worked at the local bookstore where I'd started spending time again. We didn't flirt. We didn't even exchange numbers at first. We just talked. About books, about music, about how quiet can be comforting instead of awkward. She didn't ask about my past. She didn't fill the air with fake laughter or curated personas. She just was. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to perform. I didn't have to earn my place. I was just Glenn. And that was enough. We've had coffee since. No labels. No rush. Just 2 people figuring out how to exist beside each other without needing to be perfect. As for Opal, I don't know where she is now. I heard through a mutual friend that she moved in with her sister and started going to therapy. Maybe it's real this time. Maybe not. I'm not rooting against her. I just stopped rooting for someone who never once clapped for me. She once said I didn't deserve her. Maybe she was right. But I've come to understand, I deserve peace. I deserve honesty. I deserve someone who doesn't mistake gentleness for weakness. And now, I finally believe I do.